Farid Hafez from Vienna. He's a lecturer and researcher at the University of Salzburg and has also written extensively on this. Thanks for your time. Farid, what's your analysis of the situation that we're currently seeing in France? Do you think President Macron's comments and policies towards Muslims are perpetuating Islamophobia?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I think they are a manifestation of Islamophobia, right? I mean, this is what Islamophobia is all about. It's about a dominant circle of elite power people who are trying to impose restrictions on Muslim lives. And the whole anti-separatism bill, which seems now to be even implemented before it is put in discussed in Parliament in November this year, as it was proposed, by having a crackdown on Muslim civil society organizations, is just where we see that his policies. He seems to gain support from this extremist murder that happened and tries to really put the blame on the majority of Muslim people living in France. So for me, I think this whole issue, it has to be seen in a larger context. So there is a policy aim of Emmanuel Macron, as it was existing before with other presidents of France, which is basically to say there is no too little space for Muslim visibility in the French public. So I think this is what it is really all about. And by having a crackdown on civil society organizations, also anti-racist organizations, which are not necessarily like Muslim organizations, this speaks volumes, I think.
Because on the one hand, I guess President Macron is espousing free speech and freedom of religion. On the other hand, he seems to be cracking down on this. Do you think it will create more marginalization in France?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the whole notion of secularism, laïcité in the French understanding of the power elite and of larger parts of the society is basically to control religion. It's not really about the separation of religion and state only, but it's about controlling what these people should think, right? And one part of this anti-separatism bill, as it was proposed at this point of time, is to impose new controls, not only on associations, but also on people working for public services. So it is really, I mean, it has to some extent a totalitarian notion of how the state relates to its citizens. And at the same time, we can see that the control of people is only really when it is about Muslims. Like, again, the private Catholic charter schools, for instance, are excluded from these legislations, which tells you that the problem is really with Muslims. It's not the problem with all religious people, but the problem is with Muslims only.
I mean, being tough on Islam and paying a price globally hardly wounds Macron domestically. Do you think he's trying to cover up his failures on domestic policy?
Well, absolutely. I mean, many commentators have said this, and I think running for the next election, preparing for the battle against the far-right Le Pen, I mean, this is the way to go for him to win on a domestic level. And as you said, rightly so, I think in the international scene, I think there is not really concern that this is too far-reaching. And I think really the problem here is that currently the whole debate is really about this individual act of an extremist who murdered somebody, and trying to really reduce everything that is going on in these days on this very individual incident, and not trying to see the full picture, where Muslims are just under very hard pressure and have been under pressure with Macron and before Macron. So I think this is really like we are losing the sight for what is really the problem here.
Okay, Farid Hafez joining us from Vienna. Thanks so much for your insight.